Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit wild. We are stepping right inside your head to meet the two incredibly distinct operating systems that dictate, quite literally, every choice you make, every single judgment you form, and every bias you hold. We're diving deep into Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking work on how our minds are split into two completely different modes of thinking. And I promise you, by the time we're done here, you're going to look at your own daily decisions in a totally new light.
Okay, let's jump right in. I want to put you on the spot with a quick, interactive cognitive test. Imagine two scenarios for me. First, you glance at a photo of a fiercely angry woman. Got it? Next, I ask you to mentally calculate 17 times 24. Now, think about how your brain reacts to those two entirely different pieces of information. It feels totally different, right?
So let's break down exactly what just happened there. On the left, we have the angry face. As Kahneman points out, when you saw that face, you experienced this seamless, completely automatic premonition. You effortlessly anticipated that she was about to yell or say something unkind in a harsh voice. You didn't try to do this, it just happened to you. But on the right, multiplying 17 by 24, oh man, that required deliberate, orderly mental work. If you actually tried to solve it just now, your muscles tensed up, your blood pressure probably rose a bit, and honestly, if someone was looking closely at you, they would have literally seen your pupils dilate from the physical strain.
Let's move into Section 1, the two mental systems, System 1 versus System 2.
To help us really wrap our heads around this dual processing, Kahneman personifies these systems, like actual characters living inside your brain. Let's meet our first character. You can think of System 1 as a hyperactive, intuitive child. It operates automatically, it is blindingly fast, and you have absolutely no sense of voluntary control over it. It generates impressions, infers causes, and constantly scans your environment to keep you safe. It's what lets you effortlessly read the mood of a room or dodge a car in traffic. But, and this is a huge but, notice that last trait. It's also incredibly gullible. It hates ambiguity, it suppresses doubt, and it's heavily biased to just believe and confirm whatever it sees.
Then, on the flip side, we have System 2. If System 1 is the hyperactive kid, System 2 is the capable, cautious, but incredibly lazy supervisor. System 2 allocates your attention to effortful mental activities, exactly like our math problem earlier. It handles complex computations and self-criticism. Actually, scratch that. It should handle them. But here's the catch. Doing all that heavy lifting is physically and mentally exhausting. Because of that, System 2 is inherently lazy. Most of the time, it just passively adopts whatever intuitive suggestions get handed up by System 1 without even double-checking them.
Which brings us to Section 2, the lazy controller. This is why System 2 fails us so often.
So why on earth does this wise, capable supervisor just let the impulsive kid run the show? Well, it simply runs out of juice. The scientific term for this is ego depletion. Kahneman highlights these fascinating experiments by psychologist Roy Baumeister, showing that all voluntary effort, whether it's cognitive, emotional, or physical, it all draws from the exact same shared pool of mental energy. In one absolutely brilliant experiment, researchers put people in a room with virtuous foods, like radishes and celery, right next to tempting chocolates and rich cookies. The subjects who had to exert self-control to eat the radishes while resisting the chocolate, they actually gave up way earlier on difficult cognitive puzzles later on. Their shared pool of mental energy was completely drained.
And look, this isn't just some fun academic parlor trick. Look at this quote summarizing a very real workplace reality. We've all been there, right? When your ego is depleted after forcing yourself to pay attention through hours of tedious meetings, your System 2 is fried. You literally do not have the mental capacity left to think critically. So what happens? You hand the controls right back over to System 1. You rely on standard operating procedures, mental shortcuts, and fast, lazy thinking.
To put this into perspective and show you just how vulnerable this makes us, look at this number, 63%. Researcher Shane Frederick designed a cognitive reflection test specifically to spot people who naturally have a weak, lazy System 2. He found that people who uncritically follow their initial intuitions are highly impulsive. In fact, 63% of these highly intuitive respondents said they would prefer to get $3,400 right now rather than just wait 1 month for $3,800. Only 37% of the critical thinkers had that same impulsive, short-sighted preference. An unsupervised System 1 just wants immediate gratification.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the dial of cognitive ease. Think of this as your brain's internal dashboard. I want you to imagine your brain as the cockpit of an airplane, okay? You got a dashboard full of dials. System 1 is constantly monitoring these dials, and the single most important one is cognitive ease. When you look at Kahneman's flowchart here, notice the causes on the left. Things like a super clear, readable font, a primed idea, or honestly just being in a good mood. They turn that dial to ease. And when you bring experiences ease, look at the consequences on the right. Things feel familiar, they feel effortless, and most dangerously, they feel true. System 1 is so easily tricked. If a message is printed in a high-contrast font or if it rhymes, your brain processes it smoothly. Cognitive ease kicks in, and your lazy System 2 just says, "Yep, looks good to me," and accepts it as absolute truth without verifying a thing.
And it gets even wilder when we bring the physical body into it. In one headphone experiment Kahneman talks about, people were asked to listen to radio editorials while testing out audio equipment. Half of them were told to nod their heads up and down to check for distortion. The other half were told to shake their heads side to side. Get this, the nodders unconsciously experienced cognitive ease and largely accepted the editorial's message. The head shakers, they experienced cognitive strain and completely rejected the message. Simple physical gestures unconsciously primed their logical thoughts. Frowning literally brings on cognitive strain, making you far more vigilant and suspicious.
This beautifully illustrates this biological reciprocity that Kahneman describes. The system works in both directions, like a loop. A good mood creates cognitive ease, but cognitive ease also creates a good mood. So when you hear someone say they forced themselves to smile and it actually made them feel better, they are experiencing a biological fact. But keep in mind, while this makes you feel happy and creative, it also drastically loosens the control of System 2, making you way more prone to making logical errors. Which brings us to Section 4, Mental Shortcuts and Biases. Let's see what happens when System 1 defaults.
So when System 1 is just cruising along on cognitive ease, it takes shortcuts, dangerous ones. It jumps straight to conclusions. One of the most common ones we all do is the halo effect. As you can see here, this is our tendency to like or dislike absolutely everything about a person based on just one single thing we know about them. For example, if you agree with a politician's policies, System 1 automatically assumes, oh, they must also have a great personality and be fun to hang out with. The halo effect forces the world to be much simpler and more emotionally coherent than reality actually is. It essentially saves your lazy System 2 the exhausting work of dealing with complex, contradictory human beings. And then there's this brilliantly weird shortcut called intensity matching. System 1 has this bizarre aptitude for translating intensity across completely diverse dimensions. Like, if you were asked to match crimes to colors, your System 1 instantly knows that a gruesome murder would be a deep dark red, right? While a parking ticket, that's just a faint pink. If they were musical notes, murder is played fortissimo, loud and crashing. The ticket is a soft pianissimo. System 1 uses this matching trick to jump to incredibly fast, intuitive emotional judgments without needing a single drop of actual logic. And that leads us to perhaps the most pervasive mental trap of the whole shebang, the substitution heuristic. When you are faced with a really difficult question, say, what will the exact value of this massive corporation be in 5 years? Your lazy System 2 usually just bails out. It's too hard. Instead, it lets System 1 substitute a much easier question, like, hey, did I like their products last year? You answer the easy question, but the scary part is you genuinely believe you've solved the hard one.
So, what is the big takeaway here? The crucial point is that awareness is literally your greatest weapon. By understanding these two distinct characters in your head, the fast, intuitive, highly gullible System 1 and the logical, capable, but totally exhausted System 2, you can start to identify your own blind spots. You can learn to spot the seductive illusion of cognitive ease. And most importantly, you can realize when you need to purposely force yourself into cognitive strain, literally furrowing your brow and engaging System 2 to make better, far more rational decisions. I'm going to leave you with a final, provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Think about all the information you just absorbed. Which system is currently controlling your judgment of the explainer we just went through? Are you accepting it smoothly because I spoke clearly, the slides were easy to read, and your System 1 is just kicking back, enjoying the cognitive ease? Or is your System 2 fully engaged right now, deliberately analyzing the evidence? Thank you so much for learning with me today. And hey, keep questioning how you think.